Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with the former 154 world champion Tim Tszyu, who makes his ring return in a rematch against Sebastian Fundora for the green belt out in MGM Grand on July 19th on PBC pay-per-view Prime Video. First and foremost, before I get into the fight questions, I was just always curious because I'm half Korean. I know you got some Korean descent, I think, from your dad's side. How in touch are you with any Asian side? Have you had like some Korean barbecue or anything out there?
Um, Not too much, you know. I'd like to find out more, but I got some Asian friends, so we always do all of those types of stuff.
That's awesome. Going straight into the fight, I know you did an interview saying that Fundora should have left you dead, essentially, after that fight, right? Kind of saying maybe in cryptic message like this is where he messed up. Kind of like a superhero villain situation. Batman should have killed me, right? Is that kind of what you're saying that he should have killed me then? Because if not, it's going to be bad in the rematch.
Yeah, I feel like the disadvantage that I had that it was much easier. It was much easier for him the first time. The second time it's gonna be a whole different fight.
I know a lot's changed from that point. I'm sure, he got his win with Cordell, worked on some stuff. You worked on things, especially from the Joy Spencer fight, but I think visibly a lot of people saw you had like a great start in the beginning. Do you feel like in the beginning of this fight he's going to expect potentially the hand speed and kind of the same situation and change his game plan, knowing that potentially if the cut was kind of something that played a factor, he's going to have to fight differently?
Yeah, I think there will be multiple game plans from both sides that will be have to be adapted, and not sure what he's going to bring out first. Um, but I'm really not focused on that. He's going to have to deal with what I have to show.
Mhm. I know you've shown all different type of skills and facets, right? You can box, you can be an aggressor, you can be a counter puncher, you can set up traps. But from your previous fights, do you feel like you're more of a patient fighter from everything that you kind of went through?
Yeah, I think it really depends on who you got in front of you. You know,
Mhm.
your dance partner, and uh, you can be rushed. You can be. It all changes when you face your opponent. But yeah, I'm able to really systematically be able to break someone down and be able to be patient with it.
Mhm. I saw, I know it's cliche line, but you put chopping down the tree on Instagram. Is that kind of a precursor of potentially the mindset, right? Like I got 12 rounds, I can break this guy methodically and
Yeah,
show different facets to my skills.
yeah, for sure. You know, for sure. There's a wide range of different things that you can do against an opponent like that. You could just got to be able to show it and do it from round one and slowly bring up the pace and hopefully get it done before the 12th round rings.
I'm gonna try to do like some history gymnastics, but I know there's a lot of connections to a lot of stuff, right? So I know you you essentially sparred Manny Pacquiao and in the past, and ironically for Keith Thurman, the Keith Thurman fight didn't happen for you in this case, but overall it all takes place at MGM Grand, which Pacquiao fought Cotto, where essentially you were as a kid waving through the tunnel. Your father fought Zab at the MGM, and now you get to fight MGM, right? So, like,
Yeah.
how cool is it that you are fighting at this particular venue out of all places?
Oh man, this is a dream come true. And growing up as a young kid, watching all the Floyd Mayweather fights and Pacquiao and that era, it all used to be MGM. And the fact that I'm, living this moment, it's surreal.
I know you told this story multiple times, but you were the kid waving at Pacquiao at the Cotto fight. So,
Yeah,
are you going to just subconsciously look up to see who's waving at you when you go through the tunnel,
yeah.
like, and
You
see
know
who?
what? Before I used to just walk out, look in the ring, and just like be real serious. But I understand when Pacquiao looks around and gets the energy from the crowd. I understand, and I'm gonna do the same.
you know, that green belt's very historic to a lot of people, and you specifically. I don't know if you know, but Pacquiao captured the same belt you're competing for, like in this case. So in lineage, like how cool is that? Like you'll be in the list of Floyd, Pacquiao, Canelo, like that specific belt.
100%. Yeah, this belt is massive, you know. It's always been a big dream of mine. The fact that I grew up with my dad having these belts, the WBC, and I've
Mhm.
always been able to see it. Uh, but when you have your own, it'll be a whole different feeling, and that's the plan, you know.
Mhm. You know, your grandparents has this shrine of all the stuff your dad has. Does that WBC belt is worthy enough to be in that shrine? You know, would
No,
you?
the WBC belt is gonna be here at home, and I got a special place for it.
Awesome. You know, I know there's a lot of lessons learned. You know, not every fighter goes undefeated in case like that. I know, your father's faced, Ricky Hatton and Brendan Phillips in that case, and you've had your setbacks. Have you had a conversation with your dad about the mindset after and how you're able to become, a better fighter? Because he won, I think, comeback fighter of the year in 1998 after his first loss. So, I mean, just
Yes.
curious.
Yeah, I think we had we had the talk straight away, and the fact that you have to change as a person
Hmm.
and approach things a lot differently, you know. And I feel like this fight, the Joey Spencer fight is what brought me out of the darkness, and I'm back in the light, and I'm chasing that tunnel, and I'm back at it.
When you made your attempt for the fight with Bakram after, like did you feel like you kind of forced it in the case of when you fought Joey and now you're fighting Fundora? Not saying that Joey was essentially like a tune-up or you overlooked Bakram, but just I felt like going from title to title back to back was very tough, And so
Yeah,
did you feel like you forced that a little bit too quick and
yeah. I think I had like a 4 month training camp for that fight, and you know it was a bit too long, and I didn't have time to recover mentally or physically from the Fundora fight, and I went straight back into it because if you remember, as soon as the Fundora fight finished, I was scheduled to fight Virgil Ortiz.
correct?
Then after that, I couldn't do it because of the cut. We went straight into to Buckram, so it was just like non-stop training in the gym. And after the Buckram fight, I was able for the first time in my life for 7 weeks stay home, plan a wedding, be able to just relax and completely zonk out from the sport. And then when I got back, it gave me this new piece of hunger for the sport, and now I'm back at it.
Not overlooking Fundora, but I'm just curious on the Turkey situation because I know originally you guys were going to work, things didn't work out, but is there still kind of a place where things could be amended at some
Yeah,
point or Mhm.
look, I like Turkey. I think there's nothing wrong, but I'm all about the big possible fight. So that's what I'm about. But I'm currently working with my promoters, No Limited PBC. You know,
Mhm.
so these are the guys that I'm loyal to, and if opportunities arise, then yeah, I'll put my hand up. But that's all it is.
My last set of questions, you've been asked once again a million times, just on my one question like everyone else. The Pacquiao fight is something where I know you're proud and excited to be on. And I know like everyone else is concerned the idea of age, but we've seen over time history shown us once here and there, and Pacquiao's done it when you train for Thurman, but just at 40.
Yeah.
6 years now, I mean, at any point do we see Pacquiao be able to show any glimpses of that? And if so, is it enough to capture the fight and become a champion?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, I really don't know. I think it's a very hard task, especially if you're fighting Barrios. You know, if he was fighting, I don't know, I don't know who. If you're a world champion these days, you're at the top. You know, so if he was fighting someone that's not a world champion, that's a different story. But he's fighting the best in the world, WBC champion, welterweight champion. Very hard task.
I think you mentioned when you sparred him, you were able to see his punches, but the punches was awkward. So like
Yeah,
how I guess help me translate that because like if you're able to see something, and especially I know at your age you were still coming up, you're not Tim Tszyu now, but why were you able to see it, but then he was still able to kind of hit you? I guess trying to
yeah.
translate how that works.
Yeah, it was like he comes in bunches, a lot of the times you can see singular shots and you can sort of move out of the way. But then when he misses the first two, he can still come back and throw another four more, and one of them lands. So that's the tricky part.
Hmm.
And
Would
he's
you
got heavy hands. Man, I remember Manny's got very heavy hands.
what would you say defensively? Like, is it like was he had like footwork that could move, or was it t still tight defense? I
He
guess.
comes in spurts. So his best defense is when he comes in the offense and he's able to throw. He'll throw like a 15-second combo, and he'll win the round because of that.
Mhm.
Because it's so effective and it really rattles a lot of people. So I think that's his biggest strength.
You think that power at that age could still? I know they say power's the last thing to go. Does he have
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of theory? That
yeah. I
okay.
think he's still got it. I think he's still got the power. I think it will never disappear. Will he have the punch resistance? Will he have the footwork to be able to match for 12 rounds? Will he be able to keep up the pace? That's another question. But the power, I think, will still be there. I think he'll come in spurts. Will he be able to be like how he was back in the younger days? I don't think so. But he would still be able to do those spurts and win the rounds. That's the thing.
Awesome. My very last question. Um, I know you fight anybody and you're not so it's not a question of would you fight and what's next. But Jaron Ennis is entering your division, so like as a fan, right, of the sport, because I see you everywhere. You were at Virgil's fight with recently in Vegas, but forgot. But either or, when Jaron comes at 154 as a like a fan, who would you like to see him test his skills out in your division? Would it be Bakram? Would it be Virgil?
Um, I'm not sure, man. When people come into my weight division, you sort of don't become the fan of boxing anymore for me. But I'd like to see how, because they've been spoken about the Virgil and Boots, they've been spoken about themselves fighting each other at 147 first, and now it's gone up to 154. So I think that's a fight that I'd definitely tune in.
Awesome. Well, I know you'll be there if anything and watch it, not as a fan, but doing your homework. So,
Of
but
course.
until then, huge fight, WBC belt on the line in a rematch where, it's huge, not just for you, but the lineage of, your family. And it's going to be at the MGM Garden Arena, Las Vegas, pay-per-view, everything that you dreamed of and more.
Yeah.
And for the fight fans that'll be tuning in on July 19th on Prime Video, what do you want to tell them before I let you go?
Yeah, I think it's I'm a young kid living a young kid, another young kid's dream, and the fact that this is the biggest spectacle of them all. I think tune in. You're gonna see one hell of a show.
Awesome.